like that. Woo!
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, Spotify, IR Radio, Twitter, TikTok, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, all of our YouTube videos. Hit that notification bell by the subscribe button. Let's get it popping. All right. Y'all know the drill. Before y'all enter this house, go and hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Wipe your feet, comment. You know what I'm saying? Send the notifications out. You know what I'm saying? Continue to let people know about the hottest basketball podcast out there, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. We are weeks removed from the NBA playoffs, or actually we're in the NBA finals right now. The first game is on Thursday against the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics in the Bay. Should be electrifying performance, electrifying finals between these two teams, two juggernauts. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're in for a treat. But I want to talk about a story that developed this morning. Actually, it's been developing for quite some time, revolving around Donovan Mitchell possibly going to the Miami Heat. Okay. Now this story was actually, I read this morning. I want to make sure y'all can see the actual picture. But Donovan Mitchell to the Miami Heat. Miami Heat named front runner to land 3-time All-Star. So there you go. Obviously that's Donovan Mitchell and Jimmy Butler, dapping each other after the game. So they seem to be pretty cool. But this has been kind of a story that's been developing actually for quite some time. And the person who dropped this was Thomas Darrow. I read this in the report. They're the front runner. Jake Fishner, who I don't really have much respect as an analyst because I've seen him say, or a reporter because I've seen him say some things that have been false and just putting misinformation, especially about the Clippers. You know what I'm saying? So, but I've been hearing this report so many times that there has to be some truth to it because it keeps getting brought up. And of course, if we just look at the situation for what it is, it's not that hard to really figure out that this could be a possibility if we just look at the signs. So, um, first off, the possible trade scenario was reported could be Donovan Mitchell for Tyler Hero, some first round picks, and also some cash value. That's what the trade scenario was for Donovan Mitchell. I don't know the specifics of what's going to be traded or what they're talking about or what they're potentially talking about. But if you was to ask me, could that be enough to get Donovan Mitchell? I would say no, just for the simple fact that you got to think about it. Utah, they're not a very prime destination. So not too many people are just running to play in Utah. So when you get a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who is box office, who does put butts in the seats, who is your franchise player, you have to make it where it's both sides. You have to weigh both your options. Now, of course, there's situations that happen inside the locker room or in house that can speed the process up because at the end of the day, it's better to let a player go, even your star players disgruntled other than to just keep them there and just let them, be a disgruntled star. You know what I'm saying? So things can speed up if a star player wants to try to, quote unquote, force his way out. All right. So that was the possible trade scenario. Now, if I was to look at the situation for what it is, right? The Miami Heat, first of all, let me talk about the benefits if they make this trade. Okay, let's go with the benefits, right? Um, Number one, they would gain star power. It was very clear to me that Miami in that series with Boston, they didn't lack heart, they didn't lack grit, they didn't, lack hustle. They did not try, right? It's just that they were outmatched from player to player standpoint. Y'all got to remember that Miami has a lot of undrafted players. Not to say that's a disrespect. What I'm saying is that these guys had to pretty much fight and claw to get what they were. You know what I'm saying? So when you're an undrafted player, you're pretty much a guy who's had to develop so much, and it's very hard to put you in the same category as guys who's been, solidified and been stamped on Boston. Guys like Marcus Smart, guys like Al Horford, guys like Williams. You know what I'm saying? Guys like of course, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and guys like um, I don't know, Derek White, guys like actual NBA players who were drafted, to guys who, like Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson and DeAndre Dedmon and Max Strus and Caleb Martin, guys who, if you don't watch basketball, would not know. You're putting them in a position where they have to play higher than what they was like literally projected to. And that's okay because Miami, the culture, from what I see, they seem to be all about the challenge. So I don't think they had a problem. I'm just stating the obvious that the Miami Heat lack star power. Like Jimmy Butler literally was the anchor to that team. If he doesn't step on that court in that whole Boston series, it's possible they could have, gotten swept or gotten gentlemen swept. So that's what Donovan Mitchell would bring to them. Another star who can light it up and who can actually be equal to Jimmy Butler, right? Also, they would bring some perimeter scoring. Now, the scoring on Miami side, that's what they struggle with. It's not their defense because, to be honest with you, they played just as good as defense as Boston in that series. Their problem was getting points on the board, especially in half-court offense. Guys just couldn't put points on the board. They had bad shooting nights. They couldn't seem to really score on the Boston side whenever they wanted. The only person who really was able to get his shot off was Jimmy Butler. The only person that was able to get a shot up anytime was Jimmy Butler and be a shot creator. You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know, it would be so important to get a guy like Mitchell because you guys know Mitchell, he loves to shot create. I mean, this dude's the same guy that's been compared to Dwyane Wade. Everybody knows who Dwyane Wade is, knows that man was one of the best of getting to the basket as far as being elusive, as far as being athletic, as far as being like, I'm saying, crafty with the ball, skill. Like, he was one of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So Mitchell, would not have a problem with scoring on, pretty much anybody. His problem is just being efficient. His problem is being efficient, but I think if he went to Miami, a better team than Utah, I think his efficiency would go up with a better system as well. Third thing, playoff performer. Mitchell has been to the playoffs every year of his career in his 5-year career. Mitchell, his first season, eliminated a prime OKC team with Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul George. If y'all don't remember that series, go back and watch. Mitchell was unbelievable. And I think the problem with Mitchell is that he started off too fast. Guys like Devin Booker, guys like Jason Tatum, guys like Ben Simmons, who didn't get off on a fast start like Donovan Mitchell, they kind of get lost in the sauce. I mean, Mitchell started off so fast that there's only one way he could go was down. Those other guys like Booker who didn't make the playoffs his first 4 or 5 years, and then um, Ben Simmons who was dealing with injuries or just not playing, and then of course Jason Tatum who started off fast as well. Made to the conference finals. He's pretty much the only one, but Mitchell's in that same boat. But now, it kind of gets like Mitchell. The Utah Jazz ain't won nothing. We gotta understand, like Mitchell really didn't have a year where he had a bad year as far as making the team to the playoffs. I mean, he's made it every single year, and he's been the driving force of his team every single year. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest thing that people look at is the bubble and the playoffs against the Clippers. Like, because people put so many expectations on them, like they were looked at as to be better. So um, Mitchell is a playoff performer. He's had some great playoff runs and some great performances against some really good teams. So he would be somebody actually who would take a lot of the pressure off Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? Because he just attacks, he goes, he's fearless, he's not scared of anything. That Miami Heat culture, Mitchell would fit in very well. Now, with benefits, it also comes with concerns. Concerns is personnel, of course. How would Mitchell and Butler, how would they both complement each other, right? How would they both complement, as well as how would Bam fit in this scenario as well? Everything's about how things fit. You can have a situation where you have a great player like Russell Westbrook, but if he don't fit with what you're trying to do, it's going to be a disaster. You're just putting puzzle pieces that don't fit. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of think of How is Mitchell going to gel with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler? If you look at both their games, Mitchell and Butler are a lot alike as far as needing the ball in their hands, uh, to operate and score. They both like to go downhill. They both like to shoot the mid range. Mitchell's a little bit more elusive on the 3-point line. They're both pretty athletic, so they do a lot of the same things. It's just Butler's bigger and plays defense. But on the offensive end, Mitchell does a lot of things that Butler does. So how is that going to affect those two? Like who's going to take a back seat and who's going to have to play off ball? I'm guessing Butler because he's 6'7". So how is he gonna make that transition? Is it going to be a smooth transition? It's going to take some time. You know, if it was my opinion, I think Butler would, with his IQ and how smart he is and how he's able to adapt, I think he would adjust rather quickly. But then I look at Bam Adebayo. Like, how is he going to use him, make him effective? You know what I mean? So it's a lot of things that they have to really sit down and watch to see how it's going to work. Salaries. Now, of course, this is not NBA 2K. You just can't pick up players and just trade them to wherever you want to trade them. I mean, usually the salaries have to somewhat match. Now, Mitchell, I think, signed a 5-year, 149, $59 deal, something like that, something crazy like that. Like 28 million this year, then like 32, then 32, then 34, then 37. So he's gonna have a 5-year deal, like 100 and something, 159 million. So that pretty much says he's pretty much locked in. But of course, it's the NBA. There's ways around it if you're just able to make the right deal. And with Mitchell getting eliminated in the first round this year against the Mavs, as well as not being a competitive team right now, with him going through what he's doing with Rudy Gobert, um, I don't think he would be against listening to what Miami has to say, especially after seeing what they just did. He's actually reported he's good friends with Bam Adebayo. He seems pretty cool with Jimmy Butler. He seems to fit the Miami Heat culture, in my opinion. Because I think he does work hard. I think he would be, up for the grind. He's also very fearless. So I think he would fit in very well. Um, I think Tyler Hero, he's making like a 4-year, $17 million deal. He's actually up for his contract this year for the Miami Heat. And this is why it's such a big subject because they got to make a choice if they're going to keep Hero and extend him or let him go and entertain other options. Um, so yeah, it's part of the business. So yeah, but these are the last two things I don't think people are really focusing on. But one is a benefit and one is a actual concern. Now, Dwyane Wade, of course, D Wade is arguably probably the greatest Miami Heat player. I didn't say the best, the greatest. Meaning, like, he will be known more than any other player as Mr. Miami. More than Alonzo Mourning, more than LeBron James, more than Shaquille O'Neal, more than Udonis Haslem because of what he meant to the Heat culture. He's the first guy to get the Miami Heat their first championship in 2006. You know what I'm saying? He brought LeBron there, created the big three, and they've got a championship in 12 and 13. You know what I'm saying? All the great moments, D Wade, you can make the case he's Mr. Miami Heat. He's also part owner right now of the Utah Jazz, which actually is a team that Donovan Mitchell is playing on right now. Or actually, signed in for, but he's not. They're not playing. He's on the roster. He has a close relationship with Donovan Mitchell. I'm pretty sure that they've talked about this situation a few times about what you think about it and how you feel about the situation and blase, just being another big mentor, right? Big brother. If I was a betting man, I would think Donovan Mitchell would say, look, I'm not promising nothing yet, but you kind of understand where I'm coming from as far as I just want to win. That was one thing Mitchell said after the press conference when they got beat by the Mavericks is that I just want to win. You know what I'm saying? I think he's like 25 years old right now. So you're about at the age where you got your money, you got your contract. Now you're trying to just win. right? So that's why I think New York would not be a destination for Donovan Mitchell because I mean, what you going to do in New York? Like New York is not going to win a championship anytime soon. So there'd be no point for you to even go that direction, right? And then also, I don't think people are looking at this one. Danny Ainge and Pat Riley. Now, Danny Ainge is the owner, or I don't know the exact title, president, GM, whatever, for the Utah Jazz, and then um, Pat Riley's for the Miami Heat, president, well known. They have a similar of a beef with each other. I'm guessing it's because the Boston Celtics Miami Heat days where Danny Ainge was playing for the Celtics and Pat Riley was coaching the Lakers and there's a little player coach rivalry there, but then it translates to the executive part where Ainge was part of the Celtics front office and Miami Heat was Pat Riley, and they had like a dispute with LeBron James where Pat Riley said he needs to shut up and just manage his own team, and it's just been a big blow up since then. They're not very fond of each other, and that plays a part in business, right? Because you have to pretty much get both guys on board. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Danny Ainge and Pat Riley really want to do business with each other. I don't think they particularly like each other. But there's also this thing called what's best for your organization and what's going to cut the check. And as I look at this scenario with Tyler Hero and Donovan Mitchell, and then possible other trade assets, maybe throw in another player for the Miami Heat, maybe like a Max Strus and a Victor Oladipo who also play defense that can help Miami out or help Utah out on the perimeter, help Rudy Gobert out. Let Tyler Hero have his own team. He's been trying to get that for quite some time. He wants to be the face of his franchise. This could be the opportunity in Utah. You know what I'm saying? So I think it works on both sides from a on-court standpoint. As far as a salary standpoint, of course, Mitchell makes like 4 or 5 times more than Tyler Hero. So how are they going to do that money-wise? I mean, that's not my job. I'm not the person that cuts the check. But I will say, like, on the court, I think it would suit both teams. I think Miami would get better offensively with the addition of Donovan Mitchell. I think Utah would get better defensively and offensively with the contributions of Tyler Hero, Max Strus, and possibly Victor Oladipo, who both play defense on the perimeter. So they will have to work that out to see what's suitable for both. Because if I'm just looking at Donovan Mitchell because he's the best player in this trade, if it was to happen, I don't think he's potentially happy right now in Utah. Utah's not much of a big market anyway. Ain't that many, much stuff to do. I think he actually, now if I'm not mistaken, that Donovan Mitchell actually spends time in Miami at the Miami Hoop School for training. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he's familiar with the area very well. So it's like, and that plays a part of wanting to go where you want to go. Like these players still have livelihoods they want to be able to play and be comfortable. So if they can go to a place where they're comfortable and it's also suitable for the team, I mean, yeah, like they would definitely entertain that option. So that's what I wanted to say about it, man. I think it's a great trade between both teams. I think if I'm Miami, I'm looking like, okay, this could be the move that kick us over the hump. And if I'm Utah, I can be like, this could be suitable for Tyler Hero to get his own team. You still will have a good team around Rudy Gobert with scorers and defenders. And I think it's just a fresh start. I think it's time for Utah just to, start over because of the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert experiment has not worked. So, I mean, what are you holding on for? But that's all I got to ask, all I got to say about that. You know what I'm saying? Continue to hit the like, share, subscribe button. Continue to share with all your friends and family, all your basketball adversaries. And with respect, we continue to say, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, put it live. Peace. I like swimwear.